Hi guys, this session does exactly what it says on the tin. Shoulders, sides and forward folds. We'll spend a really long time stretching out the sides of the neck in this session. I find working into this area is super helpful if you're generally feeling quite stiff in the upper body, and also if you're struggling with headaches or poor sleep. We have the privilege of time in our yin yoga practice, as our yin tissues, which are the ligaments, tendons, fascia, and bones, thrive off these lengthy holds, as they tend to be the tougher tissues of the body. So let's get cozy and let's slowly dive in. So we're going to begin this cross-legged in the middle of your mat. Feel free to grab yourself, as always, a little cushion to put underneath the sit bones if you need it for comfort. And today we're going to use a strap and we're going to use a brick. If you have a bolster, of course, that's always welcome as well. Now, if you don't have a yoga strap, then you can use a dressing gown cord, you can use a belt. I'm just going to use this for the shoulders later on. So this is shoulders, sides, and forward folds. Bring it into a cross-legged position or kneeling, whatever is most comfortable for you. And we're going to revisit a mudra that I really like to use every now and again. So this is the Ganesh mudra. I want you to bring your left hand in front of your heart or in front of the solar plexus, palm up towards the sky. And then place your right fingers over the left fingers. And then bend them and pull against one another. So you're really pulling against the hands and lifting this position just above your heart or just in front of the heart. So the elbows are out wide, and there is a lot of muscular strength as you pull in the upper body. Take a moment to close the eyes. And this mudra represents breaking down the barriers, working through the obstacles, acknowledging what the obstacles are, and working out how to remove them. It's Ganesh, the elephant head deity, is known as the Lord of Wisdom and of removing the obstacles. He also places them there. He's the cheeky one. And what I love about this is that there is actually action placed within this mudra, within this energy lock, this hand position. You feel the upper body starting to fire up slightly. Notice the posture in the body. Pull up through the crown of the head, cement down through the sit bones, lengthen through the waist. Notice how this position affects your breath. And perhaps it's not clear to you at the moment or yet if or what the obstacles are in your life, what you're dealing with, what you're working with. This is another reason why we come to the mat and come to this practice as a way to focus on yourself, to give yourself some time and some space to think. To remove yourself from a situation so we can see it slightly clearer. No answers have to come from this, no expectation, no pressure, no judgment. But there's an openness and a willingness for answers, solutions, reasons to emerge slowly, gradually, with peace and transparency, no force. It's nice to treat our life off of the mat the way that you would on the mat here, and vice versa. It's like a mirror to the life that we're living. Treat yourself with compassion as you would here, as you do off of the mat. And then slowly release your hands. Notice the feeling and the sensation in your fingers. Turn the palms up towards the sky and exhale through the mouth deeply. Take as many of those nice big breaths as you need. And we'll take it into a neck stretch. If you have your brick, blink open the eyes and grab hold of your brick and place it to the outside and slightly in front of your right knee. So then bring your right fingertips up onto that brick, whatever height of the brick suits you most. Right fingertips up onto the brick and tilt your left ear over your left shoulder. Close the eyes. And I love the stillness of this pose, of how long we can stay here, gradually moving the fascia of the neck, the shoulders and the upper back and around the face. If you're someone like me who actually does struggle to sit still for a while, these are really nice, easy hacks to work on with your stillness. And visualize the movement that's happening beneath the skin, the stuff that we don't see and somebody else doesn't see. If you're ever feeling any tingliness in the legs, feel free to adjust your seat. You can extend one leg out, maybe both of them. Don't sit in pain. Can you find a softness around the jaw, and the back of the teeth, and the tongue? And lower your chin slightly, bring it forward. Notice the subtle effects when you move. It doesn't have to move a lot to have a big difference. You're going to keep the head exactly where it is and move the right hand and the brick to the back right corner of the mat, working on a diagonal line so that they're not strict, like sort of strict forward and back lines. They're on a diagonal. Once you're in this position, turn the right palm forward. Turn the palm open and tilt your fingers slightly downwards. Find length down the side of your neck and the arm all the way down to the fingertips. And you're welcome to add in a little bit of movement here to the arm. You can rotate the palm up and down, forward and back. Move in slow motion Move your fingers and the wrist. Move in and around the joints. Then bend your right elbow. Turn the palm back. And I want you to wrap your right arm around the back of you to grab hold of your opposite elbow. So you want to squeeze the left arm a little bit closer in towards your waist. Grab hold of it. Keep your left ear over the left shoulder, but can you bring your chin down a tiny bit more towards the chest? Breathe your ribs back into the right forearm behind you. Notice if you're holding any tension around your jaw and your mouth and your fingers or your toes, all the little places. Slowly start to lift your head up to center. Let go of the left elbow. Before you bring your right arm away from your back, I'm going to turn around so you can see what the position of the hand is going to do just for the final minute of this pose. So your right arm is around the back of you. You've just let go of the left elbow, so there's a bit of space here. Can you press the back of your right hand in between the shoulders? So you might want to lift that right hand a couple of inches up the back. And what that will do is draw the right elbow down. And we've got internal rotation of your right shoulder. The palm is wide open if possible. And then when you're ready, from that position, drop your left ear over the left shoulder once again. For me, this is a deep place. I'm starting to feel this down the front of the right arm, kind of around this deltoid muscle, which is the sort of shoulder cap. We'll be here for another 30 seconds or so. And it's interesting to notice and observe the sensations that we experience here. Learning what those sensations are. If it feels like a real sort of lengthening, that's tension, it's adding in that stretch. If there's a pinch, or if there's more of an electrical feeling or a heated feeling, it's pain. We pull away from that. We don't stay in that feeling. If we come up against a sort of block, it's compression. Bone on bone has reached point contact. So we're really learning about our bone structure and our points of tension, what our limits are. And this is the thing with yin, is that we work our way to our edge, we notice and observe, and maybe the edge continues to deepen. And if that is the case, and that's tension, that's stretch, we're able to kind of work with that. If we come up against a block, compression, it's your bone structure. You can't change the shape of the bones. So there's a lot of acceptance also wrapped up in this practice. That was definitely longer than 30 seconds. Take one more big breath in. exhale, slowly release your hand. Place both of your hands onto your thighs, palms down or palms up. Up to you. Notice the feeling. Let that sensation run down the right arm. Close the eyes. For me, this practice is about getting comfortable being still. Getting used to being still. Accepting the stillness as something that is so progressive and so pivotal within this practice. That stillness is just as important as movement and aids the movement, helps us keep moving for longer. We're going to take everything to the other side. So grab your brick, place the brick over to the left side of the mat, slightly in front of the left knee, over to the left of the left knee, rise up onto your fingertips, turn the right palm open upon the right thigh, find your posture, find the spine, breathe into it. And then exhale, drop the right ear over the right shoulder. Stretch down the left side of your neck. Relax your eyelids. Notice how you feel if you bring your chin forward slightly. And then bring your brick to the back left corner of the mat. Once you're there, turn the palm forward to face the front of the room as you externally rotate your shoulder, palm wide open, and tilt the fingers downwards. Bring your chin forward slightly more. And whenever you want to from here, you can add in a little bit of slow motion movement. Turn the palm up and down, forward and back, bend the elbow, straighten it, move the fingers and the wrists. And then eventually bend the left elbow, wrap the arm around the back of you and grab hold of your right elbow crease. Nuzzle it closer towards the waist and drop your right ear over the right shoulder again. And think about Imagine someone's got their hands just on your shoulders, drawing them away from the ears. Can you separate the back of the teeth and find a softness around the jaw? It's an area that we build up so much tension from grinding, worry. And then on this next breath, start to let go of the right elbow, but keep the left hand around the back of you. Lift the back of the hand up a couple of inches up the spine, palm wide open. Plant the back of that hand to the space between your shoulder blades. So the left elbow sort of draws down slightly, right palm open, and then whenever you're ready, drop the right ear over the right shoulder again. Notice the feeling. Notice if you're holding tension in different areas between the left and the right sides. Take a final breath in here. Exhale, release your hands slowly. You can either place both of your hands, palms open or palms down, on your thighs, however you feel is best. Let your head drop down for a moment. And rest the full weight of the head down. And start to bring the head up. We are going to take this into the only standing posture in yin. It's a forward fold called dangling. So move the equipment over to the side. Straighten the legs out in front of you for a moment. Just let them breathe. Maybe even just windscreen wiper the feet from left to right. Just rub down the legs. And whenever you're sat somewhere for a long time, the fascia can get a little bit stiff. So the fascia being the connective tissues, the more yin tissues of our body, the ligaments, the tendons, the myofascia, which is like the bags that wrap themselves around your muscles. So with dangling, we'll stay sort of middle of the mat. You can have your feet about hip width apart. You can obviously come up to standing first. I'm going to take it from being sort of already over in this forward fold. So you can have your feet roughly hip width apart, maybe slightly wider, maybe slightly narrower. And you know what? If you naturally stand with your feet in a slight turnout, then that's fine. Your toes can be ever so slightly turned out. Maybe you prefer for the toes to be slightly in. We're all very different with this little detail of the body. Now, if you can't touch the floor, grab your brick and you can rest your hands or wrists onto the brick, and you can always pile up as many of these as you wish. Or maybe you can have the hands on the floor. Maybe if you're very, very flexible, can't quite maybe I can, then maybe the forehead could go on a brick. Up to you, or just let yourself completely hang. Dangle down. Little bend in the knees. There's no locking in the knees here. There's a soft bend. Relax your head, and we'll take 3 minutes here. Just shy of 3 minutes. What I really like in this position is very subtly rocking forward and back. Very, very subtly. Close the eyes. If you're incredibly flexible in this position and you just don't really feel very much anymore, then you can always tuck your chin a little bit closer towards your chest and see what happens when you bring that chin really, really close towards the chest. Let the head completely drop down. Maybe you feel a little bit more down the spine. If you're, just Cirque du Soleil kind of flexible, maybe you want to stand up a level on the brick, hands towards the floor. We're all very, very, very different at this stage, right? With forward folds. There's a lot to it. If you're someone that does struggle with this position and is opening up the hamstrings, it's actually quite nice to take the feet perhaps a little bit wider. And let the belly drop in between the thighs. Final minute. Take a couple more breaths where you are. And if your feet are quite close together, then you can start to take your feet out a little bit wider. If you're standing on a brick, stand off of the brick. From there, with the feet wide, bend the knees and bring yourself towards the floor. You can maybe squat all the way down, bum towards the ground, or eventually bring your knees down. From here, we're going to take it into a supported or elevated Sphinx pose. Now, with Sphinx, you're going to come down onto your belly and bring your forearms out in front of you. Elbows underneath your shoulders, hands in front of you. Feet again roughly around hip or shoulder width apart. And you can let the head drop. So this is pretty much the opposite position to where we were before in forward flexion. Now we're in extension for the spine. It's subtle, and you might want to just stay exactly as you are. If you love a back bend, you may want to bring a brick underneath the forearms, elevate this pose slightly more. And it's quite clear when this is too much for you. It's quite clear with these lower vertebrae. If you're feeling a pinch, then don't use the brick. Maybe you need much more height You can change the height of the brick itself and have a real softness in the hands as they're elevated off the floor. Or keep the forearms exactly as they are on the ground. One more minute where you are. So it's always good to remember the direction that you are going. You're stretching the opposite direction. So we're going more upwards and back. So it's actually the front of our bodies that's getting the stretch. And the direction that you're going is usually the direction that you feel, or the place that you feel compression. Like I was saying before, there's bone on bone. So if you just cannot go any further into a back bend, but it's not that you are feeling strain at the front of your body, but it's that you're feeling more of a pinch in the back of the body, then that's when the vertebrae or the facet joints in your spine are touching. And that's kind of about it. If when going into this sort of back bend, you're feeling like a ripping sensation in the front of the body, then that's tension. So a lot of people who have got super tight abs, this kind of position actually is really tough on the front of the body. Start to breathe more into the belly, create a bit of space there. And we can work on that stuff. The compression, can't always work on the compression. We honor that. You go, okay, that's my edge. That's my limit. Take one more breath in. Exhale, start to lower down onto your forearms. Move the brick. Lower one cheek onto the mat. You can place one hand on top of the other and then your cheek down. For a nice release here, the cheek that's on the mat, so the side that you're turning your head, slide that knee out to your side. So I've got my right cheek on the mat, looking over to the left side of the room. So I'm sliding the left leg out to the side. Gives the lower back a little bit of space to recover. And then take that to the other side. If you are going for the leg lift, switch to the other cheek. Slide the other knee up by your side. And then slide the leg down. When you're ready, press back into a seat. This is where we're going to grab the strap. So come into a position that's comfortable for you. I quite like to kneel in this position personally, but if you want to be cross-legged, then that's totally fine. Grab your strap, or whatever you can use as a strap. And then wrap your fists around the end of the straps and really pull against that strap. So you want the to be kind of taut there. And then just start to lift the arms up over the head, holding onto your strap. Bring the arms back past the head and the ears. Drop your chin. And then move round from left to right. Tilts. And yeah, this isn't like a traditional yin pose, but I want us to feel into the shoulders. Notice where you're holding some tension. The difference between left and right. It's quite nice to bend the elbows. And then you can bring the arms forward and round the spine. It's almost like you're doing a cat-cow, but in a completely different position. Close the eyes and just have a bit of fun with it. One more minute where you are. Notice if you're ever holding your breath, depriving yourself of oxygen. Don't do it. And then whenever you're ready, lower the strap. And take a moment just to let the feeling and the sensation run back into the fingers and the hands. We're going to take it into a nice juicy shoulder stretch now with a few options to take a few extras. So you may need the strap. I'll show you what it will look like if you do need the strap. Let's come down onto our bellies, and you're going to take the right arm out to the side. So all the way down onto your belly. Take the right arm out to your side. And you want to keep this right arm, this right hand even, in line with your right shoulder. So it's not high, it's not low, it's on that parallel line to the shoulder. Then from there, you're going to roll over the head of your right shoulder and let your head drop to the floor. If you need a cushion underneath the head, then that's totally fine. Press the right palm into the ground. Option 1, step your left foot behind you. And your right leg can be long. And you can keep the left hand in front of your heart, in front of you, or you can use a strap. Whip the strap behind you, try and grab hold of the strap with your right hand also. Pull against the strap, squeeze the shoulders back. And we can be here if you don't need the strap. You can always interlace your fingers behind you or just kind of let the left arm flop. It's no big deal. So this is kind of your option 1 with a few other options within it. Option 2 is we're going to add in a slight saddle-esque position of the legs. So this isn't for everybody. If you're quite happy where you are, focusing here on your shoulder, then stay there. If you want to go for the saddle, you'll need to pay attention to what I do with this left leg. So with the left leg, you can bend the knee and catch the foot with the left hand. Then from there, start to place the back of this left foot onto the ground and direct your thigh away from you. So now I quite like to keep the left hand in front of me if I'm going to go for this half saddle. So it's not for everyone. It's quite a deep, not only is it a deep thigh stretch, but it's also a little bit of extension here in your back. So if you're feeling any pinching around this area, don't take this stretch. Stay just with the shoulder. So really your choice if you go for that or not. We're all very different with what we can and can't do naturally. There's no one size fits all here in yin. You can try one of those positions for a couple of minutes and then release for a couple of minutes. You're not a statue. You can move. This sort of element of stillness. It's not that you should stay somewhere that isn't good for you. It's about stilling the mind, finding some space between the thoughts, allowing us time to not jump to conclusions or to act irrationally. Final minute where you are. On your next exhale, let go of your hands or your strap, or release the foot if it's still in saddle, and start to roll onto your belly very, very slowly. Once you're there, take your rebound here, or you can lie on your back. And there's also an option to place your brick underneath sort of the sacral area of your body. So there's a little bit of height underneath the bum, the very base of the spine. This is always my favorite place to be. But you decide, have a little bit of a play around. Whether you want to stay on your belly, roll onto your back, and perhaps place a brick under that. You do not have to. What feels right for your body. And this practice is super profound in aiding us to clearer thoughts. The way that we live our life off the mat, that's the yoga. How we place ourselves in society, within our families and our friends. And so much of this is within our reactions to things and how we choose to experience certain situations. That suffering and pain in a way, and pleasure and joy, they are reactions to certain things. And a lot of these things we can choose how we react to them. For instance, the rain. The rain is just the raw form of itself. It's rain. It's how we decide to then interpret that rain as something that has ruined our day, or is it pleasurable? We can place that joy or that suffering into that raw form. The rain isn't either. It's not the rain. Take another couple of breaths where you are. We can choose how we react to most things. It's not about suppressing. It doesn't have to always be pleasure and doesn't always have to be joy, because that's not realistic. And it's important that sometimes we do get our time to be sad and angry about things. Otherwise, that's suppression. And no one wants that. But it's good to tear down a few labels. If you've got the brick underneath you like me, bend your knees one by one slowly. Lift the hips very, very slightly to remove the brick and lower the hips down. Take a moment here. Maybe even bring your knees to touch. We'll take everything to the other side. You can roll over to one side if you are on your backs. If you're on your fronts, you stay there. And we'll eventually take the left arm out to the side. Remember, the left hand is in line with the shoulder. Let your left cheek rest onto the mat or on a pillow and start to roll over the head of this left shoulder. So you can step the right foot behind you. You can keep the right hand in front of you. This is enough. You can grab your strap and take the strap behind you. Hold it in both of your hands. You can interlace your fingers. You can just let this right hand drop. If you know that you love a bit of saddle, bend the right knee, catch the foot, and place the back of that foot towards the floor. So some of us may feel a real sensation at the front of the ankle, because the position of that foot now is in plantar flexion, also known as pointing. And then the thigh sort of elongates towards the other side of the room. And it's a sensation that sparks something in us, because this is a position we don't always find ourselves in. We're usually in flexion when we take steps. That leg is coming forward in a way, and we're loading it up with weight. You're cycling, you're running, adding a bit more impact into it. Then that stretch is often needed. Maybe you just wanted a few seconds of it. You make your decision whether you're going to stay there or not. One more minute where you are. If you're holding on to your hands or the strap, slowly let go. Release the foot if it's in half saddle. And then very slowly roll back onto your belly. You don't have to take the exact same rebound that you did before. If you do want to lie on your back, you can lie on your back. You can lie on your front. You can take the brick underneath your sacrum again. Up to you. If you're lying on your back and have a brick underneath you, once again bend the knees. Lift the hips just so much as you can slide the brick out from underneath you and lower your hips down. Eventually, I do want everyone to meet in a kneeling position in the middle of the mat. So whatever way makes most sense for you to come into that position. Slide your hands underneath you if you're lying down and press yourself up. So we're going to take a toe squat, or I call it fire toes, just to get into the soles of the feet, mobilize the toe joints. So you're going to come into a kneeling position. If you need cushions underneath your knees, then take the cushions there. But tuck the toes, spread them out really wide, including the little toe. For me, I'm convinced my little toe just doesn't work. Like there's nothing there. So just make sure the little toe is also on the floor as much as it can be. If this is a really harsh position for your knees, you can also place a softer brick or cushion here in between the legs. This is a really nice place to be. Now rest your hands onto your thighs and breathe. So we're going to be here for about 8 breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Notice if your tendency is to hinge forward to try and get the weight out. Try and bring the head over the shoulders and the shoulders over the hips and the hips over the heels. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale 3. Exhale. Inhale 4. Exhale. Inhale 5. Exhale. Inhale 6. Exhale. Inhale 7. Exhale. Final breath. Inhale 8. As you exhale this time, hinge forward. Crawl out of the pose. Point the toes. Patter down the feet. Bring a little bit of life back into the joints. Excellent job. Maybe rotate the ankles, wiggle the toes. Fresh life, fresh blood. And from there, you're going to come into your Shavasana. So completely up to you how you take your Shavasana today. You can lie on your back, so you can place a bolster or pillows underneath your knees and thighs. You can go without anything underneath you at all. If you don't want to lie down today, you can be in a more meditative seat in the middle of your mat. But bring yourself somewhere that you can get cozy. You can give yourself a couple of minutes to properly rebound. Drink in the sensation, enjoy the space that you may have created throughout your physical body and your mental body. Give yourself permission to exhale. Close the eyes, I'll guide you out shortly. And then begin to rest your awareness in the flow of your breath. Rest your awareness in the whole of your body, just as it is. If you're lying down, start to move your fingers and your toes, and then reach the arms up over the head. Inhale. Exhale, hug your knees into your chest. And whenever you're ready, those of you lying down can roll over to one side and bring yourself into a comfortable seat, Sukhasana, in the middle of your mat. Take your time. Once you do get there, we're going to come back into Ganesh Mudra. Clasp the fingers on top of one another, bend the elbows or bend the fingers as well, and pull against them. Hands in front of the heart, close the eyes, drop your chin slightly. There's a muscular effort here in the upper body, but it's not about you forcing anything. It's not a fight. So Ganesh, the Lord of Wisdom, remover of obstacles. And it's a little piece of these deities within us and what they represent. And the older we get, the wiser we get, the more time that we've had to make mistakes, to grow, to open up. The way that we are in these postures in yin, the more time that we're able to be in these postures, the more open and the more movement happens. It's the subtle movement, it's the deeper movement. It's the work that we don't always see from the outside eye. And it's us learning about what our obstacles are and what our limits are, and that's okay, and honoring them the way that we would in one of these poses. Take a final breath in together, pull against the fingers. Exhale, release the mudra, release the hands. Take a little bow to yourself. Namaste. Thank you for joining. As always, I appreciate you taking these classes, and if there's anything I can do for you, please get in touch with me. Have a great rest of your day. Move easy, move slowly. Enjoy the feeling. Take care.